Week 15 in the NFL starts tonight. Welcome back to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And it's crazy to think that we're in Week 15 of the NFL here. And, we got a good game on tonight, plus a couple more storylines to get to regarding the week as well. But we can't talk about this week without the official news coming in about Bill Belichick officially signing that 5-year contract to become the new head coach at the University of North Carolina. Who would have ever thought? We're going to go into it, the news, and how we got to this point, but also, my thoughts on it and some things that I think Bill Belichick is going to have to address being the new head coach of the University of North Carolina. So that's going to be one of our talking points. Also, it is Thursday, so we're going to get to our game picks as well. Part 1 today, Part 2 tomorrow, and also, previewing Thursday Night Football, as well as a couple more topics there towards the end. So make sure to stick around. And before I get started, though, if you guys want to get involved with the show, any questions, comments, or opinions you want to share on any of our topics on today's episode, please don't hesitate to do so. Your input and your thoughts and just any contributions to the show are always welcomed here on not only this show, but also the network everywhere else. And if you want to make it absolutely sure that your message stands out and gets featured on each and every show, there's an easy way to go about that. You are now able to use the Super Chat feature. You can use the Super Chat feature by clicking the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your Super Chat. In this way, it guarantees that your message gets on the air. I can see it, and that way I could read it out loud, and we can take the conversation there and forward. So, again, if you want to get involved with the show, use the new Super Chat feature. Let us know what you're thinking, and, hit the $ at the bottom of the chat box, and, let your thoughts be heard. Let me know if you agree with anything, have anything else to say throughout the duration of today's show. But now we can get to the groundbreaking, world-shaking news that, broke last night officially, and it was more, we talked about it yesterday in some capacity during the first, segment of yesterday's show, but I mentioned how I didn't want to get too much into it just because I didn't see at the time an official announcement, made by UNC or anything like that. I didn't want to go too far into it, but now, we waited for the official announcement to arrive, so now we can say that Bill Belichick is entering the world of college football now as the new head coach at the University of North Carolina. The university made the news official last night, and then into today there was more said on it, and Bill Belichick and UNC agreed to a 5-year deal that's still waiting for the approval by the Board of Trustees. I saw that they're supposed to have a meeting today, to kind of approve that whole thing, but regardless of that, it is going to happen. It is official now, and, sources said that the idea of how we got here, who orchestrated the whole thing, was actually led by the board chair, John P. Pryor, and himself and Bill Belichick had met multiple times leading up until this official announcement. And, there was those reports that said that John Pryor and Bill Belichick met on Sunday for about 5 hours discussing, the move and, the hiring and things like that, but still nothing was really official until, the middle of the week. So it's huge news, obviously, because to go from the NFL to the college ranks, especially for Bill Belichick, where it's obviously not like any other situation because Bill is who he is, right? The greatest coach of all time, in my opinion, the most accomplished one, again. So you'd think, a guy like this would have a job in the NFL, and that was really my whole thing as to why I was pretty hesitant about this move, why I felt like Bill was just going to wait out for a job, and people in the NFL were going to be smart enough to hire the legendary coach of Bill Belichick, but obviously that didn't happen, and just for UNC alone, for a program that gets very little to no attention there, specifically in the ACC, and who also hasn't won an ACC title since 1980. This is, future altering, changing the complete course of the program in just a simple move like that. And there is a lot of doubts. There were some doubts that I saw in the chat yesterday about Bill Belichick going into a new venture, really not having any experience with it. But this is like a once in a lifetime sort of thing for, again, UNC to bring in a guy like Bill Belichick. A lot of people said that this job was beneath him, or that he should not even be at the college level, right? Like, what are we talking about? He's won 6 Super Bowls. He doesn't need to be in college. That was a lot of the thinking with this move. But I think, well, not I think, I've read also that there were some other reports that this was really the only guaranteed job that was on the table for Bill at this point in time. And it was really like, it was a combination of Bill wanting to coach again. Like, he really wanted to be in coaching again. Being on TV and everything like that was great. But a lot of sources close to him and just sources reporting on the events of everything said that he just really, wants to be coaching right now. He couldn't really wait any longer. So it was a combination of wanting to just coach again, but also the fact that the NFL was very relationship based and just very like, it wasn't as it appeared, I will say. I guess from the outside looking in, there was a lot of stuff behind closed doors that Bill reportedly didn't like. So because of that and the ill feeling he had towards that, going to college, especially at UNC, where I believe his father was a coach or an assistant coach, really it's just like a full circle moment as well. So there's that. And also on this announcement, it was reported that former NFL executive Michael Lombardi, who was an assistant under Bill Belichick with New England from 2014 to 2016, is also going to be joining Bill Belichick as his general manager at UNC. And then there's other news outlets out there that said that his son, Steve Belichick, could also, be joining him potentially on his staff. And you can imagine other guys like Joe Judge or like Matt Patricia or something like that, right? Also potentially being involved in the recruiting of his staff and making up his official staff as well. And does this mean that Bill's officially done with the NFL and that he's forgetting about them, ditching them, and that he's never coming back? I wouldn't say so necessarily, but this is a 5-year deal, and I think that's like around the minimum that you would need to really establish a culture, a real program, to compete with the ACC teams and then to compete at a national scale as well. So I wouldn't say that he's completely done at the NFL level. It is going to be a good amount of time now before, we probably see him there again. But, just look at what we're talking about now. We would have never thought this was even possible. So for me to rule out that he's going to go back to the NFL, I think would be foolish considering what we're talking about right now. Bill Belichick going and becoming the new coach at UNC. And I was definitely shocked by it. I thought in my mind, I felt like Bill Belichick was going to wait until probably, the end of the regular season to see if any NFL team, was going to wait for the season to end and then, gain everything, all their information, and then, reach out to Bill. But apparently, with all the, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? The disagreements, I guess, with the NFL and the way that they were going about things in regards to him and how much leeway he was going to get in an organization and things like that, he decided to just take this guaranteed offer and run with it, right? He always said that he wanted to coach at the college level as well, so that's another thing. And really just, I didn't think that it was going to happen this quick again, but also in the same breath, right? You don't want to lose an opportunity like this because I think he definitely interested Bill. He wouldn't take it if he wasn't really invested and interested in it. So I guess there's an element of that as well. But I do like how he's going to be, running the show there. All the top head coaches in college football have the ultimate power, in a way, rule over everything that goes on with the program and, everything from top to bottom. The head coaches are the guys in charge, and I like that he has the full power of that. And more and more college is resembling the NFL, with NIL, the contracts, pretty much the transfer portal, kind of like free agency. So there is that little bit of resemblance there. It's not like it is a vast difference, obviously, from the NFL because you're dealing with professionals and On the other hand, you're dealing with kids still, young adults. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there, obviously. But the opportunity, again, like I mentioned yesterday, to bring UNC to the top of college football potentially, basically from scratch, would be a lot more impressive, I believe, than if he would have went anywhere else in college or if he just simply went back to the NFL, right? This is something new, something unbelievable, and if he's able to do it, the legend of Bill Belichick in just the football world is going to be at a whole different level. So that's what kind of interests me as well. And I also like the fact that he's really changing what college football really is, kind of like when Prime went over to Colorado and how he approached things. Now you get Bill Belichick to come over as well, just adding to not only the attraction of college, but changing that landscape. Like I said again, I think that's super, super fascinating. And then just, the things that he's still going to have to figure out is whether or not to coach. You're not going to coach kids and professionals the same way. Also, I'd be interested to see if his scheme, on the actual football field changes from what we saw in New England, because I think if you're not going to coach them the same, you're probably going to change up your scheme a little bit, I would think. There has to be some modifications. And also, are the quarterbacks there going to operate more under center? That's been a pretty big talking point in the young quarterbacks coming out of college now. They don't really operate under center and, in those kind of operations. So with Bill being old school, I'd be interested to see if their brand of football is a little bit different or if he also tries to modernize it a little bit more. And then just figuring out things other than the fact that he's Bill Belichick that attract kids to UNC, because I think that's super important too, right? Not just going there because you want to play for Bill, because like he said, it's going to be a pipeline to the NFL, but not every player is going to go to the NFL. So what is going to distinguish your program and your university from, other places where, kids know that they're probably not going to be in the NFL, but still want to play in college? What are you going to do differently to try and attract, those kids, those players that are kind of in the middle of it all? So those are just a few of them. This isn't really going to get good, I think, until we get into the new year and things like that. But insane that Bill's now in college football. I never would have thought it. But hey, it's going to be even another reason to keep watching college football as it continues to grow. So we're going to leave that topic there. But in the meantime, we're going to shift back to the NFL and look at Week 15. We got our first part of our game picks here for the week, all the games on Sunday, and we're going to go through them and just basically pick a winner, and I'll explain why these teams are going to win on Sunday. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast.